Hey yogis, welcome to my channel. My name is Kassandra, and today I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about what it's like to be a full-time yoga teacher and give you some advice if you either are a full-time yoga teacher and you're struggling to make ends meet, or your career is not really going the way that you wanted to, or if you are an aspiring yoga teacher and you're worried about the financial aspect of it, because I'll be honest, it's hard to make a good living as a full-time yoga teacher. So I've been on YouTube for almost 5 years now, maybe 4.5 years or something like that. And I speak with a lot of yoga teachers. I get a lot of emails and messages from yoga teachers who feel a little bit stuck in their career. I think a lot of us have been sold this lifestyle of what it's like to be a yoga teacher, and we see the yoga teacher celebrities who are jet setting all over the world and doing photo shoots for Yoga Journal and doing all of these amazing things, and we think that's what it's going to be when we become yoga teachers. And the ugly truth is that it's probably not going to be like that for 99% of the yoga teachers out there. That being said, I absolutely do believe that it is possible to make a difference by being a yoga teacher and to make a good income while doing it. So rather than answering all of the emails that I get individually, I figured I would make a video and give you my 3 biggest tips on how to make teaching yoga a sustainable career in the long run. There are too many teachers who are burning out at 35. It's just, for a lot of people, it is not sustainable, and I really do believe that it should be, but there are things that need to change in order for that to happen. So if you see me looking down at any point during the video, it's because I have my little notes here, and I want to make sure that I cover everything. So first thing is that being a full-time yoga teacher is hard, and for most teachers, the way that they first start to build up their following, or that they kind of get their foot in the door, and the way that they start to earn more income is they pick up more classes. So a lot of full-time yoga teachers are teaching 12, 15, 18 yoga classes a week and traveling from studio to studio to studio and class to class to class, and their schedules are all over the place. And that, my friends, is like a recipe for burnout. You might be able to pay your bills, you might be making a decent amount of money doing that, but I cannot imagine that being sustainable in the long run. It is exhausting. I do believe that teachers have to pay their dues, and I do believe that for the first few years of any career, not just yoga, you're gonna have to, roll up your sleeves and do the hard work. And especially if you're starting off teaching yoga, you're going to have to sub the classes that no one wants. You're gonna have to pick the classes that the studio is offering you and not be too picky about it. You're not gonna get everything you want handed on a silver platter. So it's totally fine to struggle a bit for the first few years. I know that, everything I've built, it didn't come to me, I worked really, really hard. I worked long hours to get it. However, I'm mostly speaking to the teachers who've been doing this kind of hustle for more than 5 years. It is time to cut yourself some slack and to redesign what it means for you to be a full-time yoga teacher. Doing 12, 15, 18, 20 yoga classes a week is just not going to cut it, especially if you're getting older, trying to plan for a retirement, or trying to plan for having a family. So the first tip of advice I have for people is to find a niche and to specialize. Now, disclaimer, I've heard this word pronounced many different ways. I don't know if it's niche or niche, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. So I would say that one of the saving graces that I had personally in my own little yoga career was specializing in yin yoga. There is a lot of pressure. I felt this pressure when I first became a yoga teacher. I felt like I had to be able to teach all of the styles. I wanted to be able to pick up whatever class was offered to me. I wanted to be able to sub whatever class was offered to me. I wanted to be kind of attractive to all of the studios, and I wanted to get work. So I would teach all different kinds of yoga, hatha and power and vinyasa and yin yoga and restorative and prenatal and private yoga classes. And the truth is, I'm not a good teacher for all of those styles. I'm a really good yin yoga teacher, and I'm a really good vinyasa flow yoga teachers. The other styles, yeah, I can do it, but does it mean I should? no. And I had a lot of fear at first. Even on YouTube, I felt like I had to be everything for everyone, and I felt like I had to produce every single kind of yoga video out there. And I ended up being kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. Please take my advice. This is not the right way to go. If you feel called to something that you care about, that you are good at, that's what you want to focus on. The more you can brand yourself or market yourself, and I don't really totally like those words, but the more that you can set yourself apart from the crowd by saying, this is what I specialize in, this is the target audience I want to work with, this is why I am uniquely qualified to help these people, the easier it will be for you. And a big piece of resistance I have from teachers when I say, if you love prenatal and that's what you want to do, that's what you should be advertising and marketing yourself as. And all the time, very often, people are scared that they simply won't have enough classes or enough students to go around. They're afraid that their audience is going to be too small, which is why they try to teach everything, because they think that's how they're going to get the biggest audience and therefore the most amount of income. That's not the way it works. That is your scarcity mindset getting in the way. And side note, I have a really good video on YouTube that's like abundance versus scarcity mindset. I'll link it down below to help you get rid of that. But the truth is, once you declare who you are to the world, once you are courageous enough to stand on your own and say, this is what I love, this is what I offer, you are going to be able to attract the tribe that is meant to be yours. You are going to call in the students who would have never found you otherwise. So a personal example for me, when I first started on YouTube, there was almost no yin yoga being offered. There were a few yin yoga videos, maybe like 5 or 6, but there really wasn't that much of it. And being young and vulnerable and impressionable, and not so secure in my own capabilities, even though yin yoga was the style of yoga that I loved the most of any, I figured, well, if there's not that much yin yoga on YouTube, it's probably because people don't really like it. Like, those videos didn't have a lot of views. They weren't that popular. So I figured, why would I do that? Obviously, people don't like it. I should do what's popular. I should do power yoga and vinyasa yoga, and that's how I'll grow my channel. And that was such a mistake. My channel grew once I started doing what I wanted to do, what resonated with me. And now, yin yoga has opened the world for me. I have an online yin yoga teacher training. I have a yin yoga book. My channel is mainly yin yoga. And the fact that I was able to say, at some point I just decided, you know what, I'll just try it. I'll just film my own yin yoga practice. I'll put it on YouTube and we'll see what happens. If it doesn't work, I'll just go back to power and vinyasa. So I did that yin yoga class, and all of a sudden, all these people come out from the woodwork and they're like, yes, this is what I want. Where have you been this whole time? And then I knew, oh my God, I have to be the change. I have to start the trend. You can't just hop onto other trends. You have to start it. So whether you love to work with pregnant mothers, whether you love to work with athletes, whether you're really into fascia and tune-up balls, or whether you really love Ashtanga, whatever it is, don't spread yourself too thin and try to please everyone. Specialize in something and brand yourself that way. That is how you are going to stand out from this sea of yoga teachers who are becoming certified every single day. Yoga is a competitive world now. There's a huge demand for it, so I don't want to scare you because that's just a scarcity mindset, but you do have to be a realist and notice that there are tons of yoga teachers, tons and tons and tons of tons, and they're all kind of advertising the same thing. So if you can focus on your true authenticity, your true voice, and produce some offerings that are unique to you, it is so going to help you. The biggest blessing I've had in my life was putting that first yin yoga class up on YouTube. If I hadn't done that, I don't know that I would still have a YouTube channel. I probably would have given up because no one would have cared that much about my channel, because it would have been like every other YouTube channel, yoga YouTube channel that you have here. So being known for something is extremely powerful. Do not get stuck in the trap of jack of all trades and master of none. Get certified in that. Get some extra credentials that can help bulk up your resume in that specific niche. So doing 200-hour trainings and 300-hour trainings, those are great for continuing education, but I would argue that it's more important to do shorter trainings, like 30 hours, 50 hours, that are really targeted in what you want to do. Really narrow in on that, and the more credentials you can get that way, the more you can become an expert in your field. But hopefully you get the point. Niche and specialize in something. Do not spread yourself out too thin. Okay, second tip that is super important is you need to have a business model, okay? Teaching 20 classes a week is not a business model. That's not the way it works. Business models don't have to be super complicated. You're really just asking yourself, how do I plan on making my income as a yoga teacher? So for most teachers, that's teaching public classes, maybe doing a few private classes as a way to get a little bit more income, and that's okay, but you need to ask yourself, is this business model sustainable in the long run? Will I still want to be working in this way in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? If not, you need to reevaluate it. So one of the most powerful exercises I think you can do is to design your ideal work week. So if money was no object, if time was no object, how many yoga classes would you actually want to teach every single week? How many workshops would you want to run? How many private clients would you want to have? What would your ideal week look like? And once you have that ideal week, without thinking about the limitations that go along with it, then you need to start asking yourself, okay, well, how could I actually design this? So for me, for example, I don't want to teach more than 2 or 3 public classes a week. I like having a lot of freedom in my schedule. That's why I decided to go online. So when you're thinking about your business model, I like to separate it usually into 3 tiers. So the first tier is the one that earns you the least amount of money, for example. So that would be your public classes. Odds are, as a public yoga teacher, you're making anywhere from like $20 per class to $100 a class. Maybe you're making more, maybe you're making less. It totally varies on the city, but you know, speaking from what I've seen in yoga teachers, they tend to fall in the like $30 to $60 range per class, which is not bad, because if a class is an hour long and you're making $50, $55 an hour, you say to yourself, oh my God, that's a lot of money. Like, why would anyone complain? But it's not like a 9-to-5 job where you're working 8 hours consecutively. Yoga teachers have to show up, 15 to 20 minutes before class. There's a travel time to get to the studio, and you usually have to stay an extra 15 minutes maybe to clean up if you don't have someone there doing that for you at the studio, or just to speak to the clients or the students that were in your class, and then you have to hustle your way to your next class. So most teachers might have 2 or 3 classes a day, sometimes 1, sometimes maybe 5. So it's not necessarily the most sustainable way to make your income. So you want to go to a higher tier of income. So that mid-level range, I would say, is when you start to offer private classes, because then you're working one-on-one or 2 students to 1 teacher, and you can charge a lot higher. So maybe, $80 to $140 if you wanted for an hour, just for that 1 session. So you're definitely getting more value for your money. And another activity or job that I would put in that mid-tier level is to offer workshops. So if you can offer workshops either at your local studio or anywhere else, then you can fit in more people. You can charge a little bit more because it's like targeted. If I was to do like a yin yoga workshop where we would go over, I don't know, I'm just like brainstorming here, like the 8 most essential yin yoga poses or something, and really break them down and show all the modifications, I could charge, I don't know, if it's a 4-hour workshop, I could charge like a good, $80 for that workshop. And if I have 20 people, that's a lot more income. Now you're going to have to split that with the studio most likely, or pay for the rental, but you're still making a little bit more than you would if you were only sticking to public classes. So start to think, what are other things that I can offer that will earn me a little bit more money? So that mid-level, I would say, would be private classes as well as workshops. Now, the big secret, I think, and the big thing that I would love to encourage you to consider is higher ticket items. So level 3 offerings. This would be your yoga retreats as well as yoga teacher trainings. Now, there is a little kind of side note that I want to make about this. I've seen a lot of new teachers start to offer yoga teacher trainings because they've realized that, wow, you can make a lot more money by doing these retreats and these teacher trainings. And for retreats, it's not so bad, but I don't know. I've been asked many times to put together yoga teacher trainings, and even though I've been practicing for 11 years and teaching for like 6.5 years, I still believe that I am way too new of a teacher to be training other teachers. Not that I don't believe I don't have the knowledge. I'm sure I could put together a really good curriculum, but I don't know, my integrity says that I would want to be teaching for at least 10 years before doing teacher trainings. Now, this is just my public opinion, my personal opinion. You can think anything else. But as a yoga teacher, if you're going to be in this career for the long run, you should start to consider what you want to offer. So these higher ticket items like yoga retreats and yoga teacher trainings are going to supplement your income and make your life a lot more sustainable and your career a lot more sustainable in the long run. You can make tens of thousands, really, if you did a couple every year, either retreats or teacher trainings. Now, at the same time, you don't just get that money out of nowhere. It's a huge commitment and a huge investment on the part of the teacher. So you are going to have to work a lot, which is another reason why I'm hesitant with yoga teacher trainings for myself, is I know how much work goes into that. It's a lot. I mean, just for my online yin yoga teacher training, that was huge. That was so much work to put together. I can't imagine what a full 200-hour program would be like. But do keep it in mind. Maybe see if you want to offer some retreats. They can be local, they can be international, or maybe some teacher trainings down the road. Just make sure that just make sure that there's integrity in your offerings. If you just got certified last year, it's probably not time for you to host a teacher training. But those are amazing ways that you can create a business model that is actually sustainable. Now, what do you notice about those 3 levels of income? So the first one being public classes, the second one being one-on-ones and workshops, and the third one being retreats and teacher trainings. What do they all have in common and what is missing? Well, what they all have in common is your presence and your time in order to earn income. What I would most like to encourage yoga teachers to do is to start embracing passive income. Income and revenue that you can generate without physically being there, AKA going online and offering some stuff online, like what I'm doing. A lot of teachers are hesitant to do this, and I totally get it. I was super hesitant to do it as well. But one of the most amazing ways, and I would say it's like, the 8th wonder of the world is passive income. And if you've never heard that term before, passive income is just money that you make without your physical presence, so without actually being there. An example of this would be a program that you create, that you film and record, put together, put online, and sell it for, $49.99, for example. You do that work once, but you can generate income on it pretty much forever. And let me tell you, it is such a blessing to have those offerings out there. Now, again, it's not easy. It takes a lot of work, it takes dedication. You need to respect that first tip of specializing in something so that you're creating an offering that is actually in line with who you are and what you want to do. So you've probably noticed most of the things that I offer have to do with yin yoga because that's what I know, that's what I love, that's what I'm good at. So it makes sense that my online offerings would mainly focus on yin yoga. If you specialize in yoga for athletes, you would want your online products and services and offerings to also focus on yoga for athletes so that you're merging your ideal target audience with your strengths and then packaging that up and offering it online so that you can start to reap some passive income. Now, sometimes I talk about this passive income thing to yoga teachers and they assume that it's just as easy as like filming something and putting it on your website. And maybe for you it will, but I would say you need to also embrace the online atmosphere and the online environment by being a part of it. So being a part of social media, not all social media platforms, but maybe pick 1 or 2 that are useful for you. You need to have a website and put together something that is high value, that people are actually going to want and enjoy. But if you can incorporate passive income into your business model, you are really going to help yourself in the long run. One thing that I've noticed from friends who are full-time yoga teachers is they really struggle, women struggle if they go on mat leave, for example, when they're pregnant and then when they want to stay home with their kids for a few months afterwards. You don't necessarily have that income coming in from your public classes. Not a lot of studios offer mat leave. So you need to be able to plan for those things ahead of time, ahead of, the general advice of course, saving your money and making sure you have a nest egg. Having passive income, having online products is one way that you can continue to supplement your income and make sure that you have money coming in without you actually having to be present to do it. So let me look. I think that's really the bulk of the tips I wanted to offer here. I hope this helps some of you. I hope it gets you thinking. So most important is really just think and plan out your business model. Don't be too passive with it. Don't, going with the flow is great. And a lot of yoga teachers, have such a beautiful, kind, open heart. Often they are uncomfortable talking about money. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to care for yourself and care for your family. So even if you just take a little bit to really clarify what it is that you want for the future, it should make the rest of your career a little bit easier to navigate. I just want you to go into this with a clear mind and know exactly what you're getting into, because I just don't want you, if you're not already a yoga teacher or you want to make the jump from the corporate world to teaching yoga full time, I want you to really know what you're getting yourself into and what you're going to have to be up against, really, to make it work. It's a competitive arena, a competitive world, but it is absolutely possible to make a good living teaching yoga. You just need to, in my opinion, this is all personal, you need to specialize in something. So find your niche, find what really tugs at your heartstrings and makes you feel super passionate, what you want to contribute to the world. You need to narrow down your business model. Make sure you have some offerings in all 3 tiers, not just in that first tier of public classes, but also some higher ticket items that give you a little bit more return for your time and presence. And then third, maybe consider leveraging some passive revenue sources. Going online, it's super fun. Going on YouTube is by far the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. So let me know what you thought about this video. If you have other questions for me, if you would like me to make other videos on the topic of teaching yoga and business and marketing, these are things that I really love. For a while, I was doing business workshops and doing one-on-one sessions, but it honestly became too much. I'm thinking of maybe doing like a live retreat mastermind for teachers who would want to, go away for a weekend and get really clear on all of these 3 things. So if that's something that you would be interested in participating in with me, maybe leave me a comment down below. And once I have a better gauge of how many people would be open to this, and I can actually, get started in planning it. But I love yoga, I love teaching yoga, and it breaks my heart when I see yoga teachers have a really hard time. And when I see yoga teachers who are just so amazing at what they do and they have to stop doing it because they can't pay their bills or they're emotionally and physically completely drained. It's hard, but it's doable. Okay, I've talked enough. Thank you so much, yogis, for watching this video all the way to the end if you made it here. And if you don't already, please do subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every single week. Thank you all so very much. Namaste.